Today, I want to talk about, the previous couple days, we did that Civil War murder mystery, and I do that on purpose. I wanted you to think about what a detective does. And that's something you're familiar with. You see it in TV and you see the movies. And the comparison I'm going to make today is the detective isn't all that different than what a historian does. So I'm going to click through this really quick, and mainly I want you to read it. But here's kind of what happens with the detective: crimes committed, detectives looking for motive. There's different crimes we have out there. The suspect is the people or person that we think committed the crime, maybe did, maybe didn't. And then detective solves crime with evidence. Evidence comes in all shapes and sizes: DNA, fingerprints, weapon, witnesses, etc. So we're familiar with that. We've seen this story. Now I'm going to put up here, and it kind of goes across the screen what the historian does. And the historian's not waiting on a crime, they're waiting for history, which is never going to run out. They're also interested in motive, but you'll see our definition for the historian. The historian's motive is a little bit different. That's the reason an event happened. Historical events, wars, economic depressions, laws passed. Someone in class today brought up pandemics, COVID. That's a huge historical event. In history, we don't use the word suspect because suspect isn't the most positive word, so we use participants. And question 5, matching up historians, what they need. They don't need evidence, but what they need are primary documents, which we talked about at the end of the hour. These are the documents or other sources of info that were created during that time period, whenever the event happened, usually by a source who was involved in the event. And examples of primary sources include, and there's a lot of them, and take a good look at this list: written documents. Any sheet of paper that has words on it that were written is historical, is a written document. But we can break it down into further categories: diary entries, journals, letters, government documents, contracts, etc. Photographs, artwork, again, different categories: paintings, drawings, sculpture, video, that's more modern, eyewitness accounts or interviews, people that actually participated in the event, political cartoons, artifacts, advertisements, and propaganda posters. Oh, newspapers too. These aren't the only ones, but these are the ones we will encounter the most and talk about the most. So in class, what we did, and I'll just scroll through this. You don't have to take out a sheet of paper, but I do want you to look at it. What I had them do is I put up different primary source documents, and then they had to identify what they were. So I'll quickly go through these. Photographs, you're familiar with those. This is a written document. If I want to be more specific, this is the Constitution, so I could say government document. Artifacts. Artifacts are the physical objects that historians can touch and hold and feel to tell the story. These are from the Civil War. Paintings. This would be a written document, of course, but without reading it, it looks to be like a diary or a journal entry, would be my guess on that. This is the one you're probably not familiar with. Based on what I heard from some of the classes today, I don't think you've had a ton of exposure to them, which is fine. We'll work on it this year, but this is a political cartoon. Newspapers, another political cartoon. That looks familiar. It's Dr. Seuss. This one is actually a painting. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell the difference between a painting and a photograph if it's well done. That is a propaganda poster, a drawing or a sketch, and an advertisement. Okay, so what you need to do, and let's see if I can find it quickly. So get on Canvas, go into modules, and you're going to open up primary source practice. And the instructions are at the top. What you need to do is simply go through and identify. You can put them in these blank boxes. Identify what type of primary source document you think it is. If you need to go back earlier in the video to look at that list, feel free. And then part 2 is take one of the 4 above, pick the one you find most interesting. So let's say I do this, I'm going to copy and paste it. I'm not really going to do that, but I would hit copy and then I would bring it down to this box and paste it in there. And then what you need to do with that document, What are 5 questions a historian would ask to help the historian figure out the document and determine the meaning? So, for instance, let's say I pick this one. What are 5 questions we could ask? And if we could answer them, you don't have to try to answer them, but if we could answer them, it would help us determine what this document means. So you will come up with 5 different questions. You'll type them in there in question form, and then it's not on my screen. Always remember in the upper right-hand corner, there's the submit button. So you will submit to that, and it will get turned in. Make sure you do this. This is going in Canvas.